Welcome to day number 13 of our 40 days of power. Yesterday we talked about God being a covenant-keeping God. Today we're looking at the fact that God watches over His word. Jeremiah chapter 1 verses 11 and 12. Moreover, the word of the Lord came to me saying, Jeremiah, what do you see? And I said, I see a branch of an almond tree. Then the Lord said to me, you have seen well, for I am ready to perform my word. The old King James would say, for I watch over my word to perform it. Jeremiah was very young when God called him to prophesy to Judah and to other nations. The word that God gave him to speak was a very weighty word, and it was to very powerful people, kings of nations. And he was a young boy with this very great mandate to go and speak the word of God. So naturally, Jeremiah was not sure if God will back up the word he spoke. What if he spoke a prophecy and God didn't back it up? So to assure him, God told Jeremiah, I watch over my word to perform it, or I'm ready to perform my word. In other words, God says, Jeremiah, you just speak the word. I'm responsible for making it come to pass. And the assurance of God to Jeremiah is very clear, that God is responsible for making his word come to pass. We are not responsible. Our job is just believe his word. His job is to do what he has said he will do. And that promise still stands today. God assumes responsibility for honoring his word. And the word he speaks to us is his property. It's not our property, it is his. And before the Lord gave that assurance to Jeremiah, he gave him a vision. And the vision was of an almond tree. The Hebrew word for almond is a word that translates to watch or to stay awake. And so the almond tree in that part of the world is called the awake tree in Palestine. And that is the vision that God gave to Jeremiah, to just let him know, I am awake, I'm alive, I'm here, I'm watching over my word to perform it. So he says to Jeremiah, you have seen well because I watch over my word to perform it. So God is telling us today that he's awake, he's alive, his word. And if he's giving you a promise, he doesn't go to sleep on your promise. Welcome to day number 15 of our 40 days of power. Today we are talking about what faith is able to accomplish. That faith draws virtue or releases power. Mark chapter 5 verse 28 to 30. For she said, if only I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well. Immediately the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, who touched my clothes? Jesus usually healed people by touching them. In this miracle, the reverse happened. Instead of Jesus touching the person touched Jesus. So there was a change in methodology. And something left Jesus and touched this person. The Bible calls it power, or the Old King James calls it virtue, or something substantial went out of Jesus. Many people were touching Jesus at this time, but nothing was happening. But this particular woman touched Jesus, and something happened to her. So that about three kinds of people who were touching Jesus, and their touch reflected different kinds of touch. The first was the crowd. The crowd was around Jesus, and they were touching him. Most of them were touching him out of curiosity. There is a way in which people approach God with a sense of curiosity. Will he do it? Is he real? Is he powerful? Can he do it? And these are the people touching Jesus, the crowd. They are curious. They want to go and tell others that they've touched Jesus, just like people want to just be curious, go to visit a church and say, oh, I went to the church. But there is no real faith in exhibition here. So there are those who touch out of curiosity. Then there was the disciples. They were also touching Jesus, but nothing happened to them. Theirs was a touch of familiarity. This was Jesus. They knew him. They've been with him for some time. They sleep in the same place with him. They eat with